Drives me bananas.
I got that much for.
Welcome back. 7:30. I'd like to now call this meeting to order. Board of Trustees of the Village of Deerfield, Monday, December 18th. Roll call, please.
Trustee Benton.
Here.
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Jacoby.
Here.
Trustee Metz-Childers.
Here.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Here.
Trustee Seiden is absent. Mayor Shapiro.
Here.
We have a quorum.
If we could all stand, and Desiree's going to lead us.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
An item on our agenda with regards to a presentation, the Donald Garrett presentation has been delayed until our January 24 meeting. So we're going to just jump right into the Community Development Department report. Andrew, where'd he go? There you are. All right, got to make that appearance just like that. All right.
You almost got away.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. This represents the Community Development Department report from January 1st through November 30th, and the Community Development Department is comprised of the Building and the Planning Division. The Building Division has been working hard to implement online building permits throughout the year. In total, we have 16 different types of online building permits now available. That equated to 2,470 online construction building permits submitted. Notably, that's 954 contractor registrations, which was a new program this year, and over 1,000 roof permits. There was a hailstorm that we probably all remember, and insurance claims and new roofs were through the roof, so to say. The roof permits, that's 200, just to highlight that, it's $200,000 in revenue this year, and the total cost of improvements, so the value of all those jobs was over $26 million.
Wow.
You have a split between residential and commercial for the building permits?
Building permits are about 90% residential in terms of volume. Yeah.
Okay.
In total, that's all the building permits we received this year. It was about $980,000 year to date, so we're on track to outperform the $1.1 million budgeted for the year. This includes $7.3 million worth of investment at the Zion Woods development, $4.5 million at Floor and Decor, over $2 million in the Shake Shack, over $1 million at Kids Empire, and over $500,000 at the Bricks and Mortar location. Those were some of the largest construction permits we received. So the estimated construction cost of all the permits that were issued is over $70 million worth of private investment into the community, into the housing stock or the commercial properties. And with that, staff completed nearly 2,000 building inspections and responded to just over 100 FOIA requests. Also, over the course of 4 months, staff worked with a consultant, GovHR USA, to perform an organizational analysis of the building division. GovHR completed their report in September, and that included 22 recommendations that staff has begun to implement. Those recommendations will help enhance customer service, reduce processing time, provide additional oversight, and enhance operations. The division also recommended a number of code enforcements and fee revisions that were brought here in ordinance forms. You probably all recall that. There's a number of them that were specifically identified in the report. The division also underwent additional code enforcement training and implemented new methods and procedures to conduct enforcement activity. During the reporting period, 48 stop work orders were issued. That was about $38,000 in fines and $57,000 in permit fees that otherwise we would not have received. Related to the code enforcement efforts, staff's begun investigating the feasibility of implementing local administrative hearing court. We've observed municipalities to learn from their experience. We think implementing the administrative hearing court will require amendments to the municipal code, selection of an administrative hearing judge, implementation of one or possibly two new software updates, and allocation of existing staff duties to support the courtroom logistics. And so for these reasons, we think the project's going to take all of this year and would be implemented in 2025, which is different than we had previously reported to the board, but it's really the software, and we've begun to get quotes from the software providers, and it's going to take them 6 to 9 months to deliver the software to us. So we
But
think that's
worthwhile to
needed.
implement. I mean, we think it's worthwhile to implement.
Correct.
Oh, for sure.
It's a little bit of a longer road, if you will, than 2 months.
Yep. The Planning Division facilitated review and approval of numerous land use and economic development initiatives. In total, the Plan Commission reviewed 7 special use applications, 6 planned unit developments, 5 text amendments, 1 petition for annexation, 10 public hearings, and 10 workshop meetings. The division is also overseeing the downtown TIF district and the proposed Lake Cook Road TIF district. The Planning Division staff, they are liaisons to several boards and commissions. And staff participated in 20 public meetings with the Planning Commission, 4 meetings with the Board of Zoning Appeals, 11 meetings with the Appearance Review Commission, and 2 meetings with the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Working Group. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I wanted to end with, and a partridge in a pear tree.
So at the end of 22, I was thinking, are we going to be busy in 23? In the end of 23, I know we're going to be busy in 24.
24 will be very busy.
Yeah,
Lots of land use petitions forthcoming.
yeah.
And I think you all recall that graphic where "Do I need a permit?" graphic. I mean, that was developed this last year, and I think a really effective communication tool. We're getting some push around from other towns and other places, but again, trying to help people comply. We're not trying to catch anybody. We're trying to help them comply for good reason. Why do you need a roof permit? Because they have to do it the right way. Because if they don't do it the right way, then you get a problem.
Right.
But I think that's one of the nods to innovation that the group and the team spent a lot of energy and time on this year. That probably took 3 months of effort on a lot of people's part to put that together. But I think a really nice innovation.
And I
the
think we're
online
going to
building permits.
Yeah,
Online
absolutely.
building permits
Yeah.
is huge. I mean, I had that coffee, towards the beginning of the year when you were just about rolling this out, and or maybe you had, and it just didn't have that much, attention at that point. But it's really a huge thing, and you guys did a great job with that.
Thank you. It's a heavy lift for the team. I would like to thank the team for all the work that's in this report. It's been a busy year, and we're expecting a lot of business next year.
So have we ever done an analysis like the GovHR
Not
assessment
not
like
for
that
that.
before?
probably since the 60s. I mean,
Wow.
that structure was the same, at least when I came in 1986. So I can tell you that at least it was, we had Barbara Haupt for
Right.
many years as the
Right.
director of community development, but that structure was largely the same, 2 building inspectors,
Right.
support staff, and that type of structure is really unchanged since
Right.
probably the late 70s.
We were really pleased with that report. I'd say it really exceeded our expectations. We weren't sure, exactly what we'd get, or we knew there'd be some value, but just weren't sure what to expect. And so, really pleased with that, and that's for the entire division. Was happy to see that.
Well, it seems like they gave a lot of valuable information, things that you guys were able to change and act on right away.
22
So that's
specific
great.
recommendations,
Yeah.
I think.
That's amazing.
And so more to come.
That's great. That's great.
Can you give us an idea of what some of the 22 recommendations were?
It ranges. So some of the things were just work allocation of duties and correct titles, matching those duties. So there's things like that. There's things in terms of cutting down process time. We have 2 different software, and so they helped us identify what are we doing in our fee schedule, for instance, that's driving people to avoid taking one action over another. And then that may drive foot traffic to the front counter. So those are some of the changes. We may be having further amendments
Yeah.
so that we drive people to the online platform. We want them to stay at home and submit the permit online
Right.
with a
Right.
credit card rather than taking the choice of getting in a car and coming here. So they pointed out some efficiencies and things we could change to get the behavior we want. So that's an example of
That's
just
cool.
a couple of them.
That's
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
You guys did a great job. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for all your support.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the appointment of Jillian Acuna to the Family Days Commission. I'm just going to read a little bit about her. She recently became a resident of Deerfield after spending 6 years and living in Dublin, Ireland, with her husband and young son. Prior to that, she grew up in Chicago and lived in Addison for a number of years. She was employed as an upper-level management person by Costco in their home office for 12 years and has been a stay-at-home mom since moving abroad. She's been taking steps to get involved in the Deerfield community and volunteers her time at the school district, assisting with 4-year-olds and assisting with the 4-year-old classroom and assisted with special events such as school, book fair, and holiday events. And she's been recommended from the Volunteer Engagement Commission to us to serve.
Family Days Commission.
Thank you, on Family Days Commission. I'm a little slow tonight. So with that, I would ask for a motion to approve her.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Benchilder?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item is our minutes of our previous meeting of December 4th, 2023. Is there a motion?
Move approval. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Bills and payroll. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Metz Childers?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now is an opportunity for the public to offer any comment on a non-agenda item. Is there anyone, doesn't look like it, but
Public.
calling once, twice? There's no public comment. We will move directly to new business, item 23102. We have nothing on our consent agenda nor on anything under old business. Resolution authorizing the purchase of body cameras.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Thank you. The Police Department is seeking the approval of a resolution authorizing a waiver of competitive bidding and the purchase of 43 body-worn cameras and its related equipment from Axon Enterprise. A little history pursuant to the Safety Act, where the body cams are now mandated. As a special note, it's unfunded mandate for departments to comply with this portion of the Safety Act. A department our size is required to have the body cams in place by January 1st of 2025. The department does recognize the trust and mutual respect the department and community has, and how this will basically help us improve that trust and the ability to serve the community. The use of the body cameras will also provide a state-of-the-art evidence collection, additional opportunities for officer training and instruction. Will also provide impartial evidence to settle disputes and allegations of misconduct. And the evidence, while improving transparency and accountability, will also improve the already high public trust we have with our community. To comply with this mandate, the department is looking, like I said, to purchase in the first quarter of 2024 and begin a pilot program to allow for officers and administration to learn the equipment and become proficient with it prior to the rollout in January of 2025. We are, like I said, is seeking the purchase of the 43 body cameras. The waiver of competitive bidding goes along the parts of Axon is on the National Association of State Procurement Officials. In addition to that, Axon body cameras are also sole source with reference to multi-microphones on the body camera itself. Gunshot detection alerts where it will automatically activate the camera in that event, and also where we can set the cameras for up to 120 seconds buffer prior to an activation of the camera. So basically, when the officer would activate it, it's going to go back almost 2 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a tremendous amount of time. That's sort of pre-recorded but not saved until it's needed. In addition, Axon, their storage device or their storage platform is evidence.com. which is, as you'll see in my next presentation also, we're looking to be our only location to store digital evidence. We also are running into a situation with the Lake County State's Attorney where they are only accepting digital evidence electronically through this platform. So that will ultimately save manpower hours and equipment, because right now we have to put everything on a DVD to send it up to Lake County, which makes it even more challenging at times. In addition to that, my next presentation also has the evidence.com connection, and in 2025, with our purchase of the new fleet, we will also be coming and asking for the purchase of Axon's fleet camera system, which is also the car camera system. The good thing with everything I just said is they all integrate, and we can tag them so this system will automatically mark them as the same case. So if we have body camera footage, car camera footage, and then the interview aspect of it in my next presentation, that can all be saved under one file, and it's just much easier. And like I said, that's our ultimate goal, is to have all our digital evidence in one platform. The overall cost of the body cameras is for these 43 body camera software and equipment is $370,660.72. This is something that we have worked out with Axon. Would be a 5-year payment plan. The first initial year would be a $250,000 payment. With that $250,000, it is a budgeted line item, but it also will be reimbursed through a grant provided by the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. So we have to put the money out, but then we will get reimbursed for that. The remaining costs for this over the next 4 years will be approximately $30,165.43. That dollar amount beginning in 2025. Mind you, this is a 5-year plan, so after 5 years, this process will start all over again. I would also like to add that we are requesting this at this time at the end of the year, sort of late, but none of this won't be a purchase until 2024. Part of the reason for doing this right now is Axon is anticipating a 30% increase in their product for 2024. So we'll be saving that increase. And then throughout the negotiation, I guess, for the quote, we were also able to save approximately $41,000 overall with the purchase of these cameras. So it's a pretty good savings, and that doesn't even include the $41,000 doesn't even include the 30%, if we go with a 30% increase for next year. So with that, the police department is seeking board approval of the resolution to waive the competitive bidding process and authorize the purchase of Axon body-worn cameras. The police department recommends the board authorize the purchase of the 43 Axon body-worn cameras and needed equipment at a price not to exceed $370,661.72 from Axon Enterprise, Inc. out of Scottsdale, Arizona. If we have any questions.
Thank you for bringing this to us now so we avoid those cost increases and negotiating the best that you did. We also want to thank Julie Morrison and Bob Morgan for securing that grant for us, $250,000 grant. Yep. Any questions from the board?
I have a question, and I don't want this to sound accusatory. I'm just looking for some kind of clarification, because the Chicago Police Department has had a lot of problems, and some of them have been well documented, with the use of a body camera, where something happens, and actually in a few of the snippets that they had on some of the news shows, you could hear the policeman saying, "Don't turn on the body, keep your camera off," or "Don't turn it on yet," or whatever. And I'd just like to ask the question as an outsider, what is the control that they have for the use of these body cams when they have an occasion to use them? Are they automatic? Can they keep them off? Whatever.
There's many of safety, I guess, features to it. One example is in this equipment is the holster activation. If an officer pulls his weapon out of his holster, it'll automatically activate the camera, which will also in turn, in the future for us, activate the car camera. The officers will sync their body camera to the car cameras, and once the car camera, if the car camera is turned on where it is set now, depending on the level of lights we activate, that will automatically activate the body camera also. If an officer we're discussing something and something goes south, I'll say,
Yeah.
and I don't have the ability to turn on my camera, if another officer arrives, let's say I get on my radio, I need help, another officer arrives, just with his camera being activated, it'll activate other cameras in the same general area. So it will allow for those opportunity or those instances where the officer doesn't have the opportunity to activate it. The other fail-safe into that also is what I talked about earlier was the 120-second buffer that it is recording the first 2 minutes of our conversation, that we will still have that recording.
Yeah, I don't think there's any parallel, but it makes me feel better that you can't really camouflage anything by saying keep your camera off until later.
All right. The other assurance is the act itself. Mm-hmm. So the act mandates that when an officer is interacting on certain types of calls, it is the law that they have to activate their camera. Now, if they don't, they, both under a policy that we'll have, but also under the law, they're required to make a report as to why their camera wasn't activated for that mandated interaction. The Act also has very strict stipulations on when the camera must be turned off, and there are situations, when you're dealing with privacy of individuals. Right. Suppose you go into somebody's home, you don't have a firearm pulled, a person is not fully dressed. They can say, make sure your camera's off. Right. And there are certain, and then there's also under the law regulations that allow us to turn off cameras when we're in a caretaking function versus a law enforcement interaction. So if we're walking down the street and an officer goes and talks to, a child and just says, hello, little lady, that's not a recorded conversation and doesn't have to be. And so all of this is set forth in the Act, and it would be a disciplinary matter if officers choose to not obey it by saying, I don't want this interaction recorded, I'm going to consciously turn it off. And they would be putting themselves in peril if they did so.
Well, and that also covers some of these that we've seen, unfortunately, on television where a group of police officers make a raid on an apartment or a house, which is the wrong one, but they haven't read the warrant, and they've come in with guns drawn, and there are young kids who are totally traumatized by that. And this would get around. This would not allow that either.
Are they motion detector? So like if there's a tussle, a kerfuffle, or something like that, I love that word, sorry. Does it go off?
I do not believe, no. I have not heard that in the next presentation, yes, there's a motion aspect to the cameras. But to mirror Ben, that those cameras should be on already in that situation.
Got it, okay.
Brian, so we're locked in to Axon Enterprise now for 5 years. Are we confident that this company is going to be able to give us the kind of service that we need with these cameras and through evidence.com?
Yes, I'm much more confident than I was with the last car camera purchase. I've had many conversations with them, and they are worldwide at this point. They're pretty much cornering the market with all their things that they're able to connect. Mm-hmm. And I see this company just continually to improve.
Even though this is sort of relatively new as a field.
I wouldn't say it's
No?
relatively new. The body cams, the car cameras, they've been around for quite some time.
hasn't been mandated.
They're also part of
Right.
Axon is with the tasers that we carry also. So they've been in the law enforcement side of the business for quite some
And we're
time.
confident that they can service us.
Yes.
And what's the lifespan of the body camera?
The body cam, the way this is set up is if they come out with a new body cam during our 5 years at the 2.5 2.5 year mark, we will automatically get new body
Update.
cams
At no cost.
at no cost.
Wow.
That's nice.
Fabulous.
So it's one of those things that, like I said in the proposal, it says body cam 3. They're already talking about body cam 4.
Okay.
So the improvements with that. So once we get the 3s, we'll get the 4s within 2 years.
It feels a lot like any other digital computer
Like a new
Yeah.
technology
Yeah.
that we're dealing with. That
Yeah.
in 2.5 years they'll have a better one. But
I know with this evidence.com, it's different. Some people like it, some don't, but I think it greatly reduces manpower. I know firsthand that you need staff to burn discs to provide to the courts, and then they don't have everything, and you have to go back and burn another disc. This is just everything send.
Yeah.
And it's a much more efficient method, and I think it reduces cost on your end.
It will until all the FOIAs start coming in, and that'll be another.
It's coming
And
either
that's
way.
part of the
right.
pilot. Well, it's only going to increase now, and that's part of the pilot program is for us to
Right.
get more accustomed and learn the redaction aspect of it, and learn all that aspects of the programming and all the hardware and software. So, but
Gives us a little-
ultimately, I agree with you. It's going to become a lot easier for us.
It gives us a little time to train ourselves on
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say that it, particularly on the redaction side and the FOIA side, it is complicated.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a disconnect between what people think they can get from body cameras and what we're allowed to by law actually give out.
Right.
So we are
and
drastically...
you have to defend that. So then you have to actively defend those.
We are
decisions.
drastically restricted on what we can give out to the public from a body camera. It's not meant to capture every incident and let the public have full view. It's only when certain types of incidents happen. And so one of the struggles we've seen is a lot of people immediately after interaction with the police say, give me everything you have. And if you have 5 officers there, each with a camera going, and they're on scene for half an hour, you could have 2.5 hours of video. Then you have to go through and separate out what can be given out and what can't, redact out all sorts of information, and it can be a very difficult task to comply. And then people don't fully understand why is it that they were there, but they're only getting 30 seconds of the 2.5 hours. It's a whole nother challenge, and I think training, the officers, are smart to go through the training and to build in time because it is a process.
And not only with the body cam upgrade, if they make upgrades to their evidence.com and their redaction and all that, that's also comes within this 5-year period.
Any more questions or comments? Is there a motion to accept the authorization?
So moved.
I'm sorry. Is there a motion to accept the resolution authorizing the purchase of body cameras?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Metz Childers?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 23-103, a resolution authorizing the purchase of investigative interview cameras.
Hello again. The police department is seeking the approval of a resolution authorizing the waiver of competitive bidding and to purchase 4 interview cameras, related software and hardware, again from Axon Enterprise. In 2001, the police department installed cameras with recording capability in 2 of our interview rooms in the investigation division. Those systems are currently the same systems installed in 2001 and have pretty much reached their end of life. I think we're lucky to be in 2023 talking about this. The department is required, similar to the Safety Act, by statute that these cameras and recordings be used during certain interviews and interrogation of suspected crimes. With these requirements and the uncertainty of the current system, the department is looking to purchase the interview cameras and reporting capabilities in the first quarter of 2024. And just an added note, this is also something that is unfunded type of mandate through the statutes. We have completed our research with Axon and Axon Interview as part of the, still with the NASPO, or the National Association of State Procurement Officials. They are the sole source for the convert and over camera installation, their touchscreen interface, and Mary, to your question, reference the motion-based. So if an individual is sitting in the interview room and then starts to move, it's going to automatically start the recording type of deal. As stated in the previous presentation, again, this evidence or these recordings are only being accepted through the digital evidence.com by the Lake County State's attorneys. And as discussed before with the body cams and all that, will integrate together. The cost of the cameras will be $52,733.88 over a 5-year period, beginning with the initial payment of $9,736.11. And then the 4 additional payments I put in the proposal of $10,125, $10,530, $10,951, and $11,389. This purchase or this item is also a line item in the 2024 fiscal year budget. Again, like in the last presentation, with our due diligence with Axon and the somewhat what they're calling a bundling, we were able to save approximately $5,500 through the common bundle. In addition to that, we are also saving the approximate 9% increase in this side of the increase, which is better than the 30%, but it's still saving about a 9%. And math is hard for me, but a quick calculations, if I'm anywhere correct, overall this is saving the department just by signing this year and the village about $115,000.
That's great.
So the police department is seeking board approval of the resolution to waive the competitive bidding process and authorize the purchase of the Axon interview cameras. The police department recommends the board authorize the purchase of 4 Axon interview cameras of the needed equipment at the price not to exceed $52,733.88 from Axon Enterprise out of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Questions?
How long do these last, these cameras?
This will be, again, a 5-year contract with the payment. We're hoping it'll last longer, and then it will just come into the cloud storage, which we can work together with the other stuff that's added in.
I'll note my previous comment that every 5 years stuff dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's no
well-
longer supported. So
It's like a cell phone.
I know.
I just think
least
that's a
until we-
reality.
Hope springs
I knew it was
eternal.
put in.
Maybe the camera you keep and then the software gets adjusted.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. We didn't get a grant for this.
No.
No.
Is there a motion?
Move
accepting the
approval.
resolution.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Metz Childers?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
very much.
Items for discussion by the mayor and board of trustees. I have a message that we posted last Friday and sent out, but I'd like to read it. And then if anyone else has anything to say. As we look back at 2023, we've had a year full of successes and challenges. Our board of trustees approved several measures to foster economic growth within our community, resulting in substantial private investments. For example, the redevelopment of the former Barnes & Noble space will bring new residential units and retail spaces in Deerfield Square. In addition, we established a TIF district to incentivize new life in our downtown area. And there are ongoing deliberations with regards to another TIF district along Lake Cook, which could bring mixed uses to 35 acres where there are now several empty buildings. We welcome several new businesses to the village, including Walgreens, Briarwood Dental, Athleta, the Coder School, Top Issue Sports, Kids Empire, Garfield's Beverage, Brunch Cafe, Bricks and Mortar, the Julie Morrison Senate Office, Fixer, Doctors of Physical Therapy, and I'm sure there's more that I just didn't mention. Our financial position remains very strong, and our taxes are relatively changed from last year, with most residents seeing a minimal increase of only about $20. We approved a $50 million budget in 2024 with no new debt that invests in our community's infrastructure and ensures that we continue to provide the level of service that our residents and our businesses expect. Similar to past years, we have achieved a AAA bond rating, and we pride ourselves on being good financial stewards of taxpayer money. Our kids are thriving at our excellent schools, and we remain one of the safest communities in the state. We recognize the value that great schools bring to attracting new residents and retaining our current population. This has a direct impact on our strong housing demand. As a result, we expect to see possible new residential developments next year, along with a possible senior housing development and affordable housing development, and many more new businesses. Yet this year was not without its challenges. Our community's awareness has been sharpened by the conflict in Israel and Gaza, along with accompanying violence affecting numerous residents. We stand as a community in solidarity against evil and bigotry. We will always take these and all of our challenges head on, and will continue to be resilient against the specter of darker days. We are a welcoming community, and in doing so, we call out hate and support each other to make this community stronger. I look forward to 2024 and what it will have in store for all of us. And as we spend time these last couple weeks of the year during the holiday season, please do so with our loved ones and embrace the spirit of giving. Pay it forward. Give back. Recommit to doing your part to build a community in a world that's just a little more generous, a little more tolerant, and a little more kind. It is my honor to represent the village of Deerfield as its mayor. I wish all of you a wonderful and safe holiday season. Comments from other trustees? All right. Kent.
Just a reminder, the next village board meeting is going to be Tuesday, January 2nd. January 1st is Monday. We will be on a Tuesday.
I'm going to have to call in for that. I'll be driving out of town.
Okay.
And then also on the 16th, I will be out of town, so I'll call in as well.
Only
2
in January.
Januaries.
Anything else? Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and we'll see everyone who's going to be in town on January 2nd. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Means adjourned. Thanks,
Happy New
everyone.
Year, everybody.